Hi everyone. So we're learning the Mishnah on Shabbos, and we're up to chapter 8, and continuing the similar topic that we were dealing with last week about what is a sufficient quantity of something for one to be liable for transferring it from one domain to another on Shabbat. And now we're dealing with different various liquids, it seems here. Okay, hamotzi. So this is Aleph. Hamotzi yain kedei mezigat hakos, chalav kedei gemia. Devash kedei liten al hakatit. So one who takes out wine is liable if he takes out enough for mixing a cup. So meaning the wine in their time was very potent and it would be mixed with 1 part wine, 3 parts water. So if it's enough wine that you can make 1 full cup, a good enough cup for benching on, let's say, from that amount of wine concentrate, then one would be liable for that. For milk, chalav, kedei gemia. It says enough for a swallow. So just enough milk is the most common usage would be for drinking as is, therefore enough for it to be 1 drink of it. Devash, honey, kedei liten al hakatit, so enough to apply to a sore. So if it was just honey for the purpose of being a food, then it would be like anything else. It would be a fig size. But here it's saying an even smaller amount because honey also has this medicinal quality that is regularly used for at this time, and therefore that would constitute enough that one would be a sufficient quality and quantity for storing or for using for a specific purpose. Okay, moving on. Shemen kedei lasuch ever katan, so oil enough to anoint a small limb. Mayim kedei lashuf bahem et hakilor, and water enough to rub out an eye plaster. Ushar kol mashkin berevit. For all other liquids, one's liable for a revit, which is a quarter lug. So a revit is like, let's say, I think around like 3 or 4 ounces would be a revit. So that would be for all other liquids, the minimum requirement for one to be liable. V'chol hashofachin berevit, and any like wastewater, so water that's not fit for drinking that you're just going to dispose of, would be also a revit. Rabbi Shimon Omer, kulan berevit. So Rabbi Shimon says something different. All the measurements that we just said were smaller than a revit, when we said the wine and the honey and the milk. He's saying actually everything should be by a revit. V'lo amru chol hashirin halalu ela lematzniehen. So Rabbi Shimon is saying that all these measurements, that these additional measurements that we're saying that are actually smaller, so therefore more strict for these specific things, really only have to do with one who is going to store them, meaning someone has previously done this before. So they've said, this tiny bit of honey that is useful for putting on a sore, I have a history of storing that, of keeping that, valuing it, and therefore for me, it would be liable. I would be liable for transporting it from domain to domain on Shabbat. Okay, and bet, the next Mishnah here, Hamotzi chevel, kedei lasot ozen lekupa gemi, kedei lasot talai lenafa velich vara. So one who takes out a rope enough to make a handle for a basket, reed grass enough to make a hanger for a sifter or for a sieve. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, kedei litol mimenu midat minal lekatan. Rabbi Yehuda says enough to take the measure of a child's shoe to show to the cobbler. This would be the length of the child's shoe. So Rabbi Yehuda is saying stricter, a smaller amount than the Tanakama, the previous voice of the Mishnah, is saying. He's being more strict, Rabbi Yehuda. Nayar, kedei lichtov alav kesher mochsin. So paper, enough to write on it the tax collector or the toll collector's receipt. V'amotzi kesher mochsin chayav. And one who takes out a tax collector's receipt is liable. So surely that's the case. If enough paper to write a receipt, one's liable. An actual receipt, one would be liable for. Nair machuk kedei lichroch al pi selochit ketana shel pulyaton. So a raised paper. So paper. This paper probably wouldn't be fitting for writing anymore. Therefore, it's enough to wrap around the small mouth of a bottle of perfume, so to kind of plug up this small bottle. So it's a greater amount because now it doesn't have a use for writing. It has a use for something else, and this something else requires more, and therefore it is a larger, so a less strict amount for this kind of paper. Okay, that is the end of Mishnah Bet. We'll continue with Gimel next week. Okay, everyone have a great week. Bye.